All right, the next one is motivation. And Dorothy in her book says, think about babies and toddlers. They are never bored, okay? Babies are always looking for a little piece of fuzz to pick up, and they eventually learn to crawl over there and get it and get it in their mouth. Toddlers are not afraid to climb up on a chair and reach for something. They're pretty good at figuring out ways to get what they want. So to help your kids with motivation, it's a good idea to share your own excitement about challenges. Like when I was telling my daughter that I was kind of nervous about doing this tonight, and she was encouraging to me. Another really good thing is to interact with missionaries even more than you are, if you can, because like if you have missionaries on furlough, have them over to your home for dinner, because missionaries are passionate about what they do. I mean, there's no other reason to do what they do except the passion that God has given them. And just a really good real life example of motivation. If you have friends or family that are handicapped, maybe talking frankly about that would be good too, because a lot of times, you know, handicapped people have to be motivated to overcome challenges. Another thing is to make ordinary experiences satisfying. You can say, like, you know, when we get this done, we're going to fill the pool or something like that. It doesn't always have to be like, you know, let's say a candy bar or something, but some kind of nice thing that will happen when we're done with this job. It's a really good idea to develop observation skills, because motivating thinking motivates doing. All right. It can be as simple as taking a magnifying glass with you when you go on a walk. Another idea is maybe count how many banks there are between your house and wherever you're going. And you think, you know, why banks? Well, pick anything, but banks as an example. You think, I wonder why there are so many banks, and what do banks really do? And why are some of those buildings that used to be banks no longer banks? Now you'll see, why are those long lines outside the drive-up? And that's because you can't go inside the bank. But, you know, it could be any other thing. Discovering foreign experience. This is so easy and fun. Well, okay, maybe you can't go to Greece, but you can have a gyro. Okay, you can go to a Polish deli, an Italian grocery. What's really fun about there is the smells and the listening to people speaking in foreign languages. Spanish is pretty easy to hear in a lot of places, but if you go to like Caputo's, you know, in Elmwood Park, you'll hear people speaking Italian. There used to be a Polish deli by my house that was fun to go to. I knew a few words, and it was just kind of fun to hear somebody speaking that language that my dad spoke. Another idea is don't rush shopping. If you have a chance to peek in the window and see what the butchers are doing, that can be very exciting, mostly because it's kind of gross, but kids will get a big kick out of it. If you're going to get a corsage for your mom for Mother's Day or something, ask the florist if you can watch her make it, her or him make the corsage. Just little things like that. Watch other workers, see how they communicate. Sometimes they have a special language that they use between each other. They wear certain things. See if you can figure out who's in charge. I also think it's important to notice gender roles that may be surprising. Like if you see a lady butcher in the back, you might think, a lady butcher. Not what you would typically think of a job for a lady, but definitely something that you want to keep your children's eyes open to different possibilities. Where we mostly grocery shop, there used to be across the main road, there was a big junkyard. It was behind a big fence, but they had an electromagnet, I think it's called. And when we would pull up to go grocery shopping, if the magnet was working in that corner of the yard, it was fascinating to me and to my daughter, because you would see this giant arm come over real slowly. It would go down behind the fence, and then it would come back up, and there'd be a car hanging off, a junky old smushed up car hanging off of this thing, and it would move it somewhere else. We didn't see where it went, but just the whole discussion of that's a magnet. It's a different kind of a magnet, but it's basically the same thing that's holding your schoolwork up on our refrigerator. And so that was kind of fascinating. But the one thing I want to say at this point too is, you must resist the temptation to use everything as a unit study, okay? And I have been chastised about this from my kids a couple of times, because I get so interested in it. I'm gonna go home and look up electromagnets, you know? But some things it's best to just leave it be, and they can look it up if they want to. You can look it up on your own if you want to, maybe try to work it in later, but everything does not have to be a unit study, even though I am a fan of unit studies. Other simple things, treasure hunts will, of course, the kid is motivated to get to the end of that. And I'm also a big fan of overlapping things so you get more bang for your buck. When you're doing a treasure hunt, if you have rhyming words, that's good. That's important for kids to see that poetry isn't always about love and nature, stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Those are beautiful, ethereal, interesting, time-worn love poems, but not all poetry is like that. Some of my husband's favorite is Robert Service, and he lived in the Yukon during the gold rush, and he wrote. Now you have to be careful because some of his poems are a little, you know, a little risque, we'll say, but you may have heard of the cremation of Sam McGee. And if your kids have any misgivings about poetry, start with that. It starts out, there are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moiled for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest I ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge when I cremated Sam McGee. And if you watch a YouTube video of some old cringy guy telling it, it's even more impressive. I love that poem and I love his stuff. It's really good. It's poetry, but it's not all wishy and that. Of course, motivation can be simple things too, like putting stars on a chart. There's definitely room for that.